Hello? Hello? Anybody home?
Hey, Motorheads, thank you for clicking on House Calls with Doc Love.
Nicholas Van Helsing, professor of proctology and other related tendencies, graduate of the University of Rangoon, and assorted night classes at the Knoxville, Tennessee College of Faith Healing.
House Call with Doc Love can be heard live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Mothership, Race22 Facebook, plus Race22 Radio YouTube channel and Race22 Radio Twitter.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click, get in there and talk about www.w.com, and you go click. It's real easy, man.
House Calls with Doc Love is on all your favorite podcast platforms, courtesy of the Speed Squad Media Group.
10 Hut.
You find a piece of candy in your pocket, you know you remind me of the Doughboy. If I poke your stomach, will make you go, oh, drop down, give me 20 squad bucks now! Cameraman!
Well, hey there, neighbors. Hope everyone had a wonderful racing weekend wherever you visited your favorite short tracks. That's right. Everybody said we got to name the show, so we took the podcast that I was doing. Now we're doing it live. So basically, you're getting to see us record the podcast. So it's the live show and the podcast. So it's House Call with Doc Love. Thank everybody for clicking on and checking us out. Just a small change, with the name and all that. It's still going to be the same show, same interviews, same topics. It's not like we're going from Megadeth, Metallica to Barry Manilow and the Bee Gees. Okay, we're not making that big a drastic change. Okay, so with that, let's jump right into this. Got lots to cover tonight. Very, very excited about tonight's program. Got Jason Myers going to be in the house. We're going to open him up right here shortly. He's got lots to talk about, I do believe. We got all kinds of subjects we can hit tonight. So looking forward to that. Just won a second race and inching up that top 10 list now. So you got the old man in his sights next to pass in the top 10 at Bowman Gray modified victories. Landon Pembleton from Amelia Court House, Virginia, which we got to figure out where that's at. I didn't know if he lived in a courthouse or if that's the name of the town. So we got to sort that out. 16 years old, doing a fantastic job over the last couple of years. Won a big show at South Boston this past weekend with all a field full of talent. So young man's off to a great start, doing a fine job this year in his first year in late model stocks. And so looking forward to connecting with him. Jonathan Schaefer, my little buddy. I'm basically his Uncle Buck. I've been adopted by the family, so I wear it proudly. So we're going to be connecting with Jonathan Schaefer out of Ashland, Ohio. He did, of course, he races the late model stock for Lee Pulliam Performance in the Cars Tour Series, and also spent some time on the dirt with the USAC midget cars for King Coots, and he did that all week. So we're going to talk about that as well. That's pretty exciting. So very diverse, which really deepens the talent for that young driver. And he's still very young and got loads of talent. So let's jump right into our news. What do you think? Speedwayy, no late model stock cars over this past Friday. No tires for them, but the limited late models did race. The big rigs were the big show Friday night at Kingsport, I do believe. They were supposed to have late models, no tires. So Wake County Speedway, lots to talk about Wake County Speedway. Bottom line is the winner is Boo Boo Dalton. In a wild finish, Zach Lightfoot and Ethan Johnson were racing hard for the victory. I think Ethan was leading as they go down the backstretch, going at 3 and 4. A little hip check from Zach Lightfoot, and they got together. And there's a lot of keyboard warriors liking to voice in their opinion on this. So I don't know if I'll clear that up. I did talk to Charlie and Boo Boo Dalton about what he's seen and how Charlie had to call that race. If there's a whole lot of factors that went into that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the bottom line is, Boo Boo Dalton won. Somebody put on the interwebs somewhere that the winner at Wake County, late model stock car race, motor was taken by NASCAR and sent down to the tech shed in Mooresville to check it out. Well, that's not true. And I got that straight from Charlie and Boo Boo himself. He said, ain't nobody got my motor but me. So they'll put a squash to that. But the caution had to fly on that, even though they were racing right there to the checker flag. After the contact, Ethan was facing traffic, driver side to oncoming traffic. You got to throw the caution. There's no question about that. Driver safety above all. Then there was some confusion about what the flagman did. Unfortunately, he threw the checkered. By rule, they should have went green, white checker for another finish. After that, before they could get to that part, Ethan chased down the 7 car, Zach Lightfoot, and the rest is history. So they had to make a call. So with all this going on, they're already 15 minutes over the curfew. So unfortunately, that's how things kind of went down. And Charlie had so many decisions to make and so many factors that all the keyboard cowboys, not taken in consideration. But I hate to see a lot of riff going on about that. Very negatively. Hey, it is what it is. If everything would have went correctly, Zach would have been put to the back on a restart, been a green white checker, and they would have raced it out, for at least a green white checker. But unfortunately, that didn't happen with some of the things that went on there. So that's the best way I can explain it. So Bowman Gray Stadium had some hot racing this past weekend. Was a night for the ladies. Amber Lynn getting her win, and Taylor Robbins. Thank you, Taylor Robbins. Jason's chiming in here for me before I open him up here. Thank you, Jason. I'm getting old, man. It's been a long time since I've seen this. Remember, I'm old. I was old then. I'm older now. And so both of those females winning, and Amber in the sportsman class and Taylor in the street stock class. So fantastic job, both ladies. Amber won race number 2. Tommy won race number 1 in the sportsman. And the 100 lappers, of course, we got him right here in the house. We're going to talk all about it right here shortly. Jason Myers. So second win of the season. So, man, he had a hot rod Saturday night, no doubt. Caraway Speedway, late model sportsman, Blaze Brinkley. I need to get him in here to co-host one time. He is really setting them on fire over at Caraway, and kudos to those folks, and doing a fine job for Blaze. Carteret, they canceled. They had the weather, and it did come that way right through central Virginia on that part of North Carolina as well. Really stuck around and ruined everybody's racing night. Florence Motor Speedway, they had twin 35s for the late models. Zach Merkel won race number 1. Ryan Galensky won race number 2. Greenville Pickens, how about it? Magnum Tate swept both races over there, 30-lap feature. So good job for those guys. Hickory Motor Speedway had a 75-lap feature for the regular late models. Gage Painter back in victory lane in the Zach Broniger owned racing machine. So did a fine job with that. Plus, they had the Carolina late models. And we tried last week, and I couldn't get everybody on the same page. We're going to try again this week. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. It is happening. I got guys locked in. Even going to have a driver here in the house tomorrow, 7 o'clock. A show primarily just for the Carolina Pro late models and the crate modified. So we're going to broaden our horizon here. And then when the Southern modifieds start, and when Jason will be racing that, Southern modifieds start racing, we're going to start covering that as well. So we're going to broaden our horizon here. Don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to cover it. So, yeah, we're going to get more into that tomorrow. Again, tomorrow at 7 p.m., the Carolina Pro late model power hour, or whatever we're going to call it. I don't know, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But kudos to Gage Painter. It's good to see him back in victory lane. Young man deserves a shot in a ride, that's for sure. He can still get it done. Lonesome Pine Raceway, limited late models. Lance Gatlin won the big feature. And remember last week we talked with LB and Blaine Harrison. So they had the side bet going on who finished in front of who. The loser had to wash the truck. So Blaine won the race. So the young man, the son, won the race. So I had to check that out. So kudos to those guys in that Mod Street division. And Dad, he ended up finishing P10, and I think he only made 12 laps, so must have had some kind of mechanical issues if the son didn't take him out. So hadn't got confirmation on that. So we're just picking, having a good time. So that was really cool to follow up on that. Good job, Blaine. Motor Mile had a Super Cup stock car race. Had the series there. Ben Ebling swept both features. South Boston Speedway had twin 50-lap features for the late model stocks. Landon Pembleton, who we'll have here on a little bit later. Peyton Sellers swapping out victories there. Landon won race number 1. Peyton won race number 2. Tri-County Speedway canceled, rescheduled for August 14th. And for the winners, for the Carolina Pro late models at the Hickory Motor Speedway, that was race number 9. Nick Loden back in victory lane in the Pro late models, and Caden Lapsevich in the crate mods. So they had a large crash there with the mods, and point leaders was involved. Kevin Orlando, I texted with him several times just to check on him. He said he was doing okay, a little sore, but he said he'll live. So we're going to connect with him tomorrow. We got gosh, I can't think now. Mine's going blank. Josh Louder is going to be here in the house tomorrow, and then who knows? So we're going to definitely try to bring up some more drivers with the Carolina Pro late model. So be sure check it out, Race22 Radio for the Carolina Pro late models. So the Southeast Super Trucks, they raced at Anderson Motor Speedway. Had a hard time trying to get information about them. Clark Houston won race number 1. The trucks ran twins. Lee Tissett won race number 2. Taylor Nesbitt got the victory in the limited late model with the Southeast Super Truck Series. Ryan Howard finished the stripe first, but in post-race inspection, he did not pass that. So he was DQ'd to the end of the line, and Taylor Nesbitt getting her first limited late model victory. So how awesome was that? So got this young man right here going to come hanging out with us. There he is. That's right, Young. All right, Jason Myers. Man, good job Saturday night, my friend.
Man, I had a blast. Oh, my God. Anybody that's ever driven a race car in their life knows there's always just 1 or 2 races your whole career where your car is absolutely perfect and so much fun to drive.
Yeah. And
it's one of those to where it's driving so good, it's all you can do to try to save it. You just want to drive harder and harder and harder. But, especially like at Bowman Gray and, in a 100-lap race, with us, tire wear is a major issue. So you got to make sure you have tires left at the end. And it's really hard to reel yourself back in and try to slow down when your car's that good.
And you knew it was good early in the day because you qualified pretty doggone good. And then luckily had a redraw.
Yeah. And with Bowman Gray, the way they do the fans challenge, it was up to $6,000 this week. If you qualify in the top 4 before the full field redraw, you can volunteer to go to the rear. If you finish back in the top 4, you get the $6,000, which Jonathan Brown attempted and didn't quite get it.
Right.
I've won that challenge several times, and I was actually looking forward to taking the challenge this weekend. I didn't want to draw. I wanted to start in the back and try to win the money, and I was a little aggravated because we qualified 6th and didn't make the top 4. And it ended up actually working out better. I'd rather have the win than I had the money. The money makes me make it to more races and be able to race a little bit more, and we really need the money on that 4 car. But I tell you, we really need wins even more than that.
Yeah. And is it kind of a blessing to qualify in time trial 6 and then get a redraw 4th? Would you rather have that or qualify in the top 4 and then take the challenge?
The way it worked out, drawing the front row and being able to win the race, I'd take that 100 times over that money. I don't care if it was $20,000,
Right.
Just because it's all on the luck of the draw. I had by far the best race car Saturday night, I feel like. But if I had to draw on the pole, I wouldn't have known how good my car was because it's hard to know when you're in traffic,
Right.
Especially running around a football field with a modified. It's you never really know how good your car is till you get it out front.
Yeah, and luckily they had it on the NBC Track Pass, so it wasn't feeling good. The old feet give me a hard time, so stayed off my feet and stayed here and had all kinds of different races on the monitors and had you guys up on the big screen because our buddy Matt Dillner was down there calling the shots. And man, I'd love to hear somebody call the races that absolutely loves what he's covering. And Matt's one of those guys, he loves those modifieds.
He does, and he's one of the best. Man, I went up in the booth after the race, and I had a pretty good time with Dillner up there. He's he's a character. Yeah, he's fun, man. Because like you say, he loves what he does, and he loves modifieds, and he's good at what he does. And hell, I had a blast up there.
Yeah. I was going to try to get some sound bites, but I'll show it to you after we get done. But just ran out of time. But yeah, we were listening, and I said, you wait till he gets going. And man, you were killing them up there. You were awesome. That was funny. That was
well.
Good
I mean,
stuff.
At that point, I'm still on my high horse. You know what I mean? I literally just had walked out of victory lane and walked straight into an interview. That's as raw as it gets, man. I was on top of the world up there right then. So, and I'm one of these. I don't think before I speak. I just when I say it, y'all hear it at the same time I do. I've just been one of those that I don't have a filter, and my language gets a little bad sometimes. Mama doesn't like that too good, but I'm raw. I'm a very passionate person, especially racing. I'm very passionate at what I do, and I love what I do, and I dedicate my life and everything I've got into racing. And to win, it sets all that at ease, and then you never know how much fun you're gonna have after the race.
That's right. Oh, it. Now, do you normally go up to the tower? Do they have media up there that you need to address?
No. That's the only other time that's ever happened was when I won the Wheeling Tour race over there a few years ago.
Okay.
The last time we ran the Wheeling Modified Tour. Usually it's you do your victory lane celebration. You talk to the crowd in victory lane, and then you go back to the pits and celebrate with your crew.
Okay.
So it was really cool, to walk up through the fans and high five all the fans on the way up. My daughter's sitting there, excuse me, just really cool situation to go up in the tower. Plus it was air conditioned up there,
Yeah.
I was still pouring sweat. They asked me if I was okay when I got up there. It's like, you okay? You need some water? You look worn out. I said, I just walked up 2 flights of steps, man. The racing didn't wear me out. Walking up these steps did. But yeah, that's really cool, man. That's the kind of stuff that really, really makes the difference. And stuff like this, man. If it wasn't for people like you and guys like Dillner and stuff that put just as much into this as I do my race car, the racing wouldn't go around without people like y'all and without the fans. And it's not just a bunch of guys with race cars showing up at the racetrack. It takes everybody.
Yeah, and he's a fan as big as he is in the business, because he was at the Cars Tour race, not working, but he went to just watch. He and his son ran into him in pit road at the end of the night. They brought his son down to look at the cars and stuff like that. So he's a short track fan, period. Yeah, not just a broadcaster.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a racer, but I might not go to Charlotte on Sunday and watch the 500 or whatever, but I'll slide to a short track on a Friday night or Saturday night if I'm not racing any day of the week. I've seen several of those Cars Tour races.
Yeah,
I love watching late models run. I love watching super late models run. It's a lot of fun. I just love short track racing. I love being a part of it, but I also like watching. I'm not a big fan of watching a modified race, because then I want to just be out there.
Right.
But it's a lot easier to watch a late model race.
Yeah.
And, because I like to see a good show as much as anybody, man. I had fun in the booth with Dillner because I actually got to watch the race for once. Usually we're loading up the cars and they're doing a demolition derby by the time we get loaded up. And, I actually got to see some racing the other night. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, there was some good racing in the sportsman division, and it was pretty exciting watching Amber Lynn. Daniel, my youngest, 16, he is on her crew now.
Oh, nice.
So, like I say it every week. He ditched us, which, we make fun of that, but, that's what he's been wanting to do forever. So, he asked me, he's like, Dad, man, I got this opportunity. I said, man, go for it. Have fun. Yeah. So he's like, oh, being over at Bowman Gray, he said, that is the best, man. He loves it. He is eat up with it. So, he's on our crew. And so he's got to go to Victory Lane a couple of times. And by going with me and meeting drivers, now that I come back to the sport, everybody just, would just pick him up and just love to hang out with him. And every time, like Ryan Rebko won a big race before he won the throwback race, turn around, he's in Victory Lane getting pictures taken just because they, want to get him hung out. He said, this is different because I was part of the crew, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
so he's, getting a little taste of that big time Bowman Gray Stadium Racing.
That's awesome. He's hooked. You won't get him back.
He's dialed.
I'm telling you, when I was probably 5 years old. I was in Victory Lane the first time with my dad, and that's all it took. That's all it took, man. I knew where I wanted to be when I grew up.
Especially a perspective like that, because these crowds at Bowman Gray, it's not nothing that, that's they've been pretty stout over a long period of time.
They have. And, it's not just about how many people are there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 10, 15,000 people, maybe a few more on a good night. But it's not just having that many people. It's the caliber of people that are there.
Right.
Those people are there to see a show.
They are
there
Every
to
one
be
of them. There's no
entertained.
casual fans. There's no just bystanders. Oh, let's go see what's happening here. Those are passionate fans, every one of them.
I mean, when you walk out on that track and you're getting claps and boos and middle fingers and like it's all just as good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm out there practicing Saturday. And, the fans, they just had opened the grandstand, so there weren't that many people there. And there's a crowd of people sitting down there giving me the middle finger in practice. And I'm, hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Right. I do. I love the fact that you're here at 6 o'clock when the gates open to give a guy a middle finger that you don't like. Like, that's passion. Like, that's what makes that play. You can literally feel the energy when you walk into that place.
Yeah.
And like I said,
good.
when you get out of the car and you win, it's not just all the people, it's the people's reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it's that is something else to watch. You guys get to enjoy that, especially the two races. Like I said, when we finally got caught up with you, I tried to get you on when you first win. It'd help if I had the right phone number. So that
I didn't get the smoke signals you sent, if that's what it was, because I don't know.
Yeah, I really goofed that one up for
you just
sure.
Send me just mailed me a letter to the house, put a stamp on it.
Yeah, that would have been quicker than the way I had it before. So, but kind of looking at both races, two totally different races. Even though you won two, both of the 100 lappers, two totally different ways that you had to win.
Absolutely. The first one, I actually started third, which you can't ask for much more than that except starting first, which I did the last one, and I got to give a lot of credit to the lucky draws for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that first race, Lee Jeffries led all up until about 3 to go, and I ran second to him all night long. And I bet we had 8 or 9 restarts where we started side by side. And, it gets down to late in the race and you're like, man, I'm running second. This is going to be a pretty decent night. But boy, if I just had one more restart, more restart. And, even when the last restart came out, I thought to myself, man, I hadn't beat him the first 8. What's the chance I'm going to beat him this time? But, luckily I got a really good run off the corner and he hit the dirt a little bit and turned a little bit sideways, and it was just enough for me to clear him. And, there's not a lot of people you can race with at Bowman Gray Stadium like that, but Burt Myers, Lee Jeffries, Tim Brown, I mean, those guys, I think me and Lee literally ran 3 or 4 laps side by side and never touched. Not even a tire, not a Nerf bar. Like, we never touched just because of the amount of respect we have for each other. And tearing race cars up, it's not going to win races.
No.
So, I ran second and I passed a guy with 3 laps to go and led the last 2 or 3 laps of the race and won. And then the last time I drew the pole and led all 100 laps and, and had Burt Myers beside me for 4 or 5 restarts.
Yeah. How exciting was that? Because, the first race, I need another restart. This one, you didn't want another restart.
This one, I was praying it would rain at lap 50. You know what I mean? Like, you think I'm kidding? I'm for real. I'm like, how's that radar looking, guys? We're at lap 51. It can start pouring now, and I'll get my trophy in the pouring rain, and we'll go home. Not because I didn't think I could beat Burt, because I know I could. I knew I could beat Burt. But all it takes is one slip.
Yeah.
One spin of the tire, one shove of the nose, one, getting on the brakes too hard, and you're beat. Like, that's all it takes. 10 good restarts, just like Lee Jeffries. He had 7 or 8 good restarts and was perfect and kept the lead. And all it took was that one restart to slip the slightest little bit, and you lose the race on a restart, because the top 8 or 10 cars at Bowman Gray are so close. You're not going to pass a guy once you get running. Once you get single file, you're not going to pass a guy without moving him. And you don't want to have to move a guy unless you have to. It's we don't want to play bumper cars. You know what I mean? It's not about who can wreck who. Hell, my daughter's 17. I can put her in the car and she can go wreck somebody. It's about passing and doing it clean and doing it the right way. And, on restarts over there is the only way to get it done.
Yeah. You got to get them at the weakest point, and on the restarts, that's where you got to put the pressure on them, right?
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's fantastic. So you started racing modifieds, around 2000, 2001?
I ran the Smart Tour. I ran the Smart Tour in 2002, and I started Bowman Gray in 2003.
Okay.
And I'd ran street stock at Bowman Gray from 99 to 02. So I got a few years, you know,
Right.
like 4 years in street stock, just not to learn how to drive, but you know, I could drive then. It was, you got to learn how to race. You got to learn how to be respectful. You got to learn how to take care of your equipment. You got to learn how to keep your car up.
Mhm.
You know, if you make a mistake and blow a motor, it doesn't cost you $40,000 like it's going to cost me now. You know, that's why people start in lower divisions is to learn the whole process of it. You know, it's not just learning how to drive. You can either drive or you can't. You can't teach somebody how to drive.
Right.
You can't teach somebody how to feel the race car and feel what it's doing. But that's how you learn to race people. And because I'm telling you, I've been around racing my whole life, and I've seen, I don't know how many people can drive the wheels off a race car, but they can't race for crap. I mean, really, you got guys that can drive sideways, burn it down, fastest in practice, qualifying, and then they crash halfway through the race and don't finish halfway through, you know, half the races through the year.
Right.
To me, that's not a driver. You know what I mean? Being able to drive and being able to race is two different things.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Got some folks checking in on their chat. If you got your phone there, you can check it out there. Or if you can see the small print over here.
I'm not that old, Doc. Come on, man.
Kenny Shores, K-Dog checking in. Hey, Kenny. So it's good to see you on here, Mr. IPOC.
Yeah, I see Kirk on there. Heck of a guy right there.
Yeah.
Heck of a guy. Does a whole lot for short track racing.
Yeah, he does a lot for short track across the Carolinas for sure. And
People
Virginia.
have no idea how important that man is to short track racing.
Yeah. Terry Big Daddy checking in, saying, "What up, Jason? Congratulations." Amber Lynn checking in. She said,
Hey.
"Jason, good." She said, "Darn good job, brother." And who else we got in here? A Wildcat named Elaine checking in, aka Redhead.
Wildcat.
Yeah, she's a Wildcat. But yeah, Blue Carlisle's checking in the house. Released his latest vlog here. Let's do a little infomercial real quick. Boo came to Hickory, followed Bobby McCarty around in his throwback, and did the vlog. So, folks, if you have not checked it out, check it out. It's the Kickin' Asphalt vlog, Boo Carlisle. And if he's not racing, then he'll go to a track, whether it's drag racing, it don't matter. He's a short track racing, old school spirit like us. And go out there and check it out on YouTube, Kickin' Asphalt. That's the vlog. And he'll just go around, follow him, and show him, you know, the day. Same thing when he races. He'll show what it takes to get his street stock to the race and show the folks on the other side of the fence. And he really upped the game this past weekend or 2 weekends ago at Hickory Motor Speedway. He's got all kinds of cool stuff in there. So, folks, be sure and check it out. Kickin' Asphalt, Boo Carlisle, YouTube, Kickin' Asphalt. There you go. But maybe we need to get him over at Bowman Gray, follow Jason Myers around a couple times. Well, of course, you're an old veteran to that now. You're kind of used to that, right?
I see your comment, K-Dog. Thanks, man. It looks like Burke's a hell of a teacher, doesn't it?
That's awesome.
That's good stuff.
Oh, that is so cool. But racing modified and being around it all these years, has it changed much? Because, Matt talked about, Danny Bone had one of the oldest cars out there, and he's competitive. Some of these other guys, older chassis, and they're very competitive. But that don't mean the sport hasn't changed tremendously technology-wise, has it?
I mean, the sport has changed more than you can imagine as far as technology and just equipment and money, how much money it takes. But if you go back and look, we're running the same lap times now we did 20 years ago. You know what I mean? I set the track record at Caraway, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 6 or 7, whatever it was, on the wheeling tour. And I was just barely ahead of the time. It was running back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's how crazy it is. Like, we're still basically doing the same setups. It was funny. I was at George Brunhosel's shop. It's been 3 or 4 years ago. We were hanging out, and he showed me a setup book from his dad, George Brunhosel II, from Martinsville in 1978. And it was the same exact setup I ran at Martinsville in 2005 when we were up there.
Wow.
And that just shows you that technology only takes you so far. What works is always going to work. You may have something that work a little better. But the basics will never do you wrong.
Yeah. Is that, when you start talking about the suspensions and things like that. There's a big hoodoo in the late models, and we'll talk about that a little bit later with the placement of the front end and this and that. But at a modified, if it's a modified, then there really shouldn't be a whole lot of rules, right? Ain't that the true definition?
Absolutely. Modified means it's modified. You take everything off of it you don't need. Like with us, especially, the biggest thing with us is if they just check carburetor and tires, I don't care what anybody else does. I don't care what you do to your race car. I don't care if you're 100 pounds light. If you got a late model that's 100 pounds light, it's going to make a big difference.
Right.
My modified 75 pounds heavy when I qualified Saturday night. But it's where I want it. I don't want to move my percentages. I don't mind being a little bit heavy, right? Because it's a modified. It don't matter. We got way too much power anyway. But you got to be able to keep tires on it. And as long as they check carburetor and tires, it's fair game. Let it go.
Right. And totally different rules that race weekly at Bowman Gray than on the tour.
They're very similar. The tour is a little more open on what motor you can run. They allow the NASCAR spec engine that the Wheeling Tour runs. They allow us to run that motor on the tour, and you can't really run that motor at the stadium. But as far as everything else, on the Smart Tour, we tried to get everything close enough to where if a guy wants to come from Bowman Gray, he doesn't have to change anything. He doesn't have to change the rear end. He doesn't have to change a motor. He doesn't have to change carburetor. He can bring his car and just put the tires on it that he's supposed to have on it, and the guy can go racing. We try to make it interchangeable because there's so many race cars out there. We want as many as we can to show up at the racetrack. Obviously, car count's huge. You got to have a good car count. I don't care how good your show is. If you don't have cars show up, your fans quit coming. Yeah. And that's what a lot of these short tracks are running into nowadays. They're wondering why their fans won't show up, but it's because the cars won't show up. Yeah. And, Bowman Gray does, like we had 29 modifieds at Bowman Gray Stadium Saturday night. Some guy, Justin Bonsinger's brother asked me, he was at the stadium Saturday night. Justin had finished second at Stafford in the wheeling race. And I was just giving him a hard time. And, he said something about Bowman Gray. And I said, I bet we got more cars here tonight than they had at Stafford last night. And he just kind of shook his head and said, yeah, you're right. But I mean, that's what it's about,
Yeah. And there's a lot of factors there. And with late models, the racers have changed. Nobody stays put no more. And that's a lot of the draw at Bowman Gray, I think, for a lot of the fans, is that you guys have been there and stayed there, the core racers. So you've got your hardcore fans that love you, hardcore fans that love to boo you, but they know you're going to be there.
That's right. My grandpa said it back in the 50s. Before my grandpa actually he died in a race car leading the race at Bowman Gray Stadium, had a heart attack in 1958. And he said before he died, he said, whether they love you or they hate you, they come to watch you race.
That's right.
And that's the important thing. Because like I said earlier, if the fans don't show up, who we racing for? The promoters aren't going to put on a show if the fans aren't going to come. That's right. It takes the fans to make the show, just like it does a car count. So, and Bowman Gray's been doing their thing for so long, and Greg Garrison and those guys are so good at what they do. They definitely, I walked up Saturday night to watch the Demolition Derby, and I don't think but about 40 people out of the 12,000 that were in, or 14,000 that were in the stands had left to go home. Everybody was still there.
Yeah. Plus, they got a pretty exciting race in the mini stocks. Or whatever they call it. How about that finish?
That was wild.
Chris Allison, I just saw it.
I just saw it Sunday. Because I'm still loading the car and we're still in the pits getting. And it's funny how that place works. I'm in the pits loading the car and we're loading the toolbox and everything, and I hear the crowd go crazy. And I'm like, I wonder what happened. Usually it's a wreck. But even better, it was a photo finish with almost four wide coming to the line. And I mean, that kind of stuff, man, you can't buy that kind of entertainment.
First and second, that was the second stadium stock race. First and second kind of got together coming through 3 and 4. And, the little racer that could, just pointed it towards the bottom, kept her wide open, and just did beat him out. But everybody else was still sliding around. So that was exciting. And it wasn't the prettiest race car on the track. Might have been the oldest race car on the track, but he's out there racing, and he's a racer each and every week, isn't he?
Yeah, he does. Like he's got a heck of a race car. He does. Yeah. And a lot of those guys do, and those guys are having a blast over there. They gotta be, I mean, that's a lot of fun to watch them.
Yep. Had some more comments there. I want to touch them real quick. We'll get Landon on here. Miss Lindsay Huffman. She goes to my church. We go. I don't know if you go out there where Bert does. Bert and I go to the same church. out
Oh,
there
you
in
go to
Turner's.
Triad?
Yeah,
Okay,
Triad.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
absolutely. She's a motorhead, just like Redhead over there. We used to go to the same Sunday school some time ago, and we been friends for a while. She said, "It's been a while, Jason. Glad to see you doing good. So good to see you and Bert keep the family history going, and congratulations. The memories you guys will have at Bowman Gray. That's very sweet.
That's awesome. Thanks,
That's
Lindsay.
awesome. And Mr. Goodyear from the Goodyear All-American Speedway says, come on down, Goodyear All-American Speedway. They're going to have a heck of a hamburger and fast track or something like that.
Sounds like we need to get that guy in touch with a smart tour and put a smart race
That would
down
be
there, doesn't it?
awesome to have a smart tour over there, yeah. Because I remember going there with the old Hooters Pro Cup when I was working with them, and it's a fast track. It's shaped sort of like Concord was.
Oh, nice.
Triangle.
Nice.
And it's fast.
I love different racetracks. I love, I'm a lot of racetracks we run, most of them are different, but they're basic. 1 and 2 is a little bit different than 3 and 4. But I like going to racetracks where you really got to have a trick to get around it. You know, I like, just like Concord with that dog leg in the backstretch.
That place was scary fast.
I've been to what was Coastal Plains down there. That place was wild. First time I went down there and run. I love racetracks that are different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and David's done just a fantastic job getting that track turned around and got it looking wonderful and all kinds of upgrades and stuff. So we need to get him in touch with the series. And ain't too late. They could probably get another one in after the Bowman Gray season. You only got 2 weeks left.
Yeah, we've only got 2 weeks. So much. I think we're probably pretty full for the rest of this season. I know we go to Dillon. We're going to Dominion, which I've never been to. Looking forward to that.
It is going to be bad fast.
Oh, I hear, man. South Boston. We went to South Boston earlier this year since they've paved that place. You talk about a rush, man. And a beautiful facility. Yeah. Just wicked fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. You going to stay in and co-host the rest of the day, rest of the show, right?
Sure.
Awesome. Because we got all kinds of cool stuff we're going to talk about. Well, let's bring on Mr. Hot Shoe. That blistered the track at South Boston Speedway, Mr. Landon Pembleton. How you doing, buddy? You got there he is. We are having a wonderful day. Nope. Uh-oh. He's sitting in a
mic drop. Mic drop.
Sitting in
you got me now?
There you go. Yeah, I got you.
You got me now?
Are you sitting in a simulator or something?
Cool. Yeah, yes, sir.
Looks like a pretty cool. Congratulations, man! Job well done, man. You've really come on strong over the past year. I was looking at some of the racing results for you. You won at Dominion the last what they call a no winners race or something like. Was that in limited or a late model?
So that was a non-sanctioned NASCAR. It wasn't a NASCAR race, but it was at a NASCAR track. It was a non-winners race. That was my first ever late model race. I just wanted to get some seat time in for this year, and that's what's kind of helped me out.
Oh, that's great. And but you did race limited for quite some time, right?
Yeah, I raced limited for 2 years.
Awesome. And now, did you race at South Boston or primarily at Dominion, or where did you cut your teeth at?
South Boston was year. That was my very first year in 2019. I raced limited there. We had a couple top fives, one top three. Just trying to get used to the cars, everything. Just learning how to give feedback. That was pretty much the main thing.
Yeah, we're trying to get the crew, get it as fast as possible. Jason, how important is that, when you're talking with a young racer and he's wanting to learn more about racing, to convey what the car is doing to the crew?
That's all of it.
Yeah.
That's all of it. Communication is key. I mean, I don't care how good you can drive. If you can't tell the crew chief what the car is doing, I'm not going to name drop, but there was a modified racer that used to be good years ago, and now he's washed up. And he made the comment one time when he was driving somebody's car. He told them, they said, well, what's the car doing? And he said, the car's loose. And they said, well, where at? He said, in a turn. And the guy just scratched his head and just put some bite in the car and let it eat. I mean, that's all he knew. But I mean, that's key. If your car's not good, I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you can drive. You can only do what your equipment will let you do. Right. And just like me Saturday night, if my car hadn't been good, I probably wouldn't have won the race.
Yeah.
But that's key. You have to be able to tell whoever's working on it what the car's doing. And, you know, a lot of guys have somebody to tell. And with me, I'm old school. I've been doing it for so long without a crew chief. I'm the guy. I don't have to tell anybody. I just kind of do what I feel like the car needs to be done. But that comes from years of experience and learning, you know, what works and what doesn't. So, you know, you got to be able to tell your crew chief what the car's doing.
Yeah, that's great. Now, who is your acting crew chief now? Who's your crew chief now?
Eric Winslow, but I had Forrest Reynolds crew chief of me at South Boston. He crew chiefed me at the July 4th race. We had a pretty fast car at the July 4th race, and we carried that same information over this weekly show, and we were pretty sporty.
Yeah, I remember we watched the July 3rd race, 4th of July weekend race, and you were really sporty and looking really good. And we thought we saw Forrest running around. We were watching the online coverage of the race, and we thought we saw Forrest. It's hard to catch him sitting still long enough to get a
oh
picture.
Yeah, for sure.
That's who it is, but we thought it was him. But talk about the experience of jumping into a late model stock and racing against some of the best competition that Virginia has to offer. No matter you're at Dominion or South Boston, seem like you always got to deal with Peyton Sellers and some of these other fast cats.
Yeah, it's about five or six cars that are very, very competitive each week. You learn a lot from those guys. Got a decent amount of experience. So following those guys, you learn a lot, and then you get the experience. Those guys.
And I read where you're kind of racing. They called Peyton your teammate. Now you're racing a car out of his shop.
That is out of the shop. So I have two cars out. They actively work on them. They stay there because we don't have time to do all of that. I work every day. My dad works every day. We don't really have anyone.
And you're at 16, so is school thrown in there as well?
Yes, sir. So, I go to school every day. I'm starting school actually back home, so it's going to be kind of different for the rest of the year because we're in a situation for the national, regional, and state. So we're fighting tooth and nail to try and win all three of those, and if we can do that, that'd be a pretty big deal.
Oh, absolutely. I was mentioning that when I got to looking at some of the stuff where you were inside the top 10 before the new rundown comes out tomorrow. You were sitting 8th, 10 top 5s, 14 top 10s, and 20 starts. That's pretty doggone stout for a rookie.
I appreciate it. We've worked hard to get that. We've been putting in the hours, testing, trying to learn everything that we can. Peyton, I learned a lot from him, just not from the racing side, communication. He's taught me a lot about the sport, and it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, because you're setting 8th, the top rookie. This second rookie is 19th. That's Gunnar Martin, who races in Central Missouri Speedway in Lakeside, which I think it's dirt, possibly.
Yes, sir, that's dirt.
So that's two rookies that are coming through the system, one on dirt, racing to the highest level, and yourself on asphalt. How cool is that to see two rookies on the top of the national with two different disciplines? That says the crop of the talent these days. These younger racers seem to be incredibly more talented than our generation was, because in my day, when I was a teenager, you didn't jump in a late model sportsman or late model stock until you was late 20s, seems like. What about you, Jason? Some of these guys come across these modifieds, these young guys coming out pretty quick.
You don't really see many guys jump right in a modified young and start going at. But when I was coming up, you had to have a driver's license to have a NASCAR license. They didn't let 13, 14, 15-year-olds drive race cars back then. And then it finally, my mom was actually a promoter at Tri-County Motor Speedway back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and might get in trouble for saying this, but I doubt it. Excuse me. Brian Vickers was only 15 years old, and they had to lie and say he was 16 so he could race. But, you know, Clyde helped out and, you know, sponsored some races, and, you know, they made sure the kid got some seat time in a race car, and he was pretty darn good back then in the late model. But, you know, technically by the rules, he wasn't supposed to be. And, you know, to be honest, my first year I had a NASCAR license, I put that I was born in 1979 instead of 78 so that I could get in the pits when I was 15. You know, it wasn't like it is now. And but now, I mean, you know, that's how you got to do these kids. You know, don't make them race a go-kart till they turn 16. If the kid's got talent, put him in a race car. You know what I mean? Let him learn how to drive a full-body car. Let him learn how to race. Let him, like I told you when I ran street stock for a few years, you don't learn how to drive. You either know how to drive or you don't. You got to learn how to race. You got to learn how to take care of your car. You got to learn when you're having a problem. You got to know when you got a tire going down. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff that you can only feel and that you can only learn by being in a race car.
Right. And Landon, what did you race before you jumped into the late models, limited late models and late model?
I raced go-karts all up and down the East Coast. I raced them till I was about 13. Then I car for the first time, then started racing when I turned 14 because, you know, that's the age limit. And, you know, that's when we had to go. You know, my dad thought it was time to move on up, and, you know, we moved on up.
Sound like they made a pretty good decision because, like you said, either you drive, you can or you can't. I remember Bert telling me that in an interview years ago, and that stuck with me. And see young men like like right here, and Gage Painter, who's been out of a car for a while, jumps right into a good car and takes her to the front and does a fine job. And you have just every step of the way that you've learned, you haven't stayed there. You've upped it. You keep upping it. Next thing you know, you win a race against some really stout competition. So each step of the way, when you make a goal, that's really got to keep that confidence up there. And that's a lot of it too, right?
Yes, sir, it is. Confidence is key. If you know, you want to have as much confidence as you can to go out there. You clearly don't want to tear anything up, but you know, you want to have the confidence to go out there and run as hard as you can, be aggressive, and you know, being aggressive is key.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret that I learned in racing a long time ago. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't think you're the best, nobody else is going to either.
That's right. That's
right.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
I was going to ask you about, you know, going from limited to shorter racers and go-karts and jumping into a late model. How hard is it for you to learn how to manage tires when that starts to come into play? You know, was that a big hurdle for you?
I just started learning how to save tires. You know, the South Boston 200, that was my biggest race, longest race. I've been running a bunch of twins. I ran one or two 100 lappers, and you know, you could probably for the first 25 laps and then go, but you know, it wasn't saving for 100 or 125. You know, if you go to Langley, I went to Langley once this year, and that's, you know, I had to save the whole first twin to be able to be competitive in the second one.
Now, did you ran the both races of the Triple Crown?
No, I did not run. I did not run Langley.
Okay, I swear I thought you was there. Must have been another zero car. Speaking of that, I know, you know, the 4 is a family number, and if you ever change your number, you would probably get beat worse than the fans that love to boo you, Jason. How about the 0 on the side of your late model? Is that a family number? How'd you pick that number?
So my dad was 00, and I wanted to change it up a little bit, so I went to 0, just, you know, nice single. And he was always 00, so, you know, that's where I got it from.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's cool. Keep it in the family.
Yes, sir.
0 squared. That's what I would have done. Like Boo, you know, the guy that does the Kicking Asphalt vlog, he has a big letter B. Well, you know, not the same size as the numbers, but he has a B beside the 00. So he tells the promoters when he gets there, that's number Boo, not 00. That's number Boo.
Scary.
So got him. That's a different, unique way to market himself. So it works.
Yeah, for sure.
Any big races coming up? Are you guys slated for Martinsville?
Yes, sir. We plan on running Martinsville. That, you know, we've got that one on the radar. We definitely want to run that, and we want to try to finish up the races at Dominion and South Boston before we go to Martinsville.
And Jason was talking about the modifieds going there with the tour, which would be a fantastic show. Well, lost you over there, Jason. So just keep talking. We can hear you though.
Okay.
I have to fix that.
I got a face for radio anyway.
Well, you know what, dude? He's talking about never been there before. What could you share with him about Dominion? Even though he'd be racing a modified, one of the, with the big fat tires and the whole works. What could you tell him about Dominion?
Well, Dominion's a very fast racetrack. It's all pedal there, all throttle. That you're always on the throttle. It's a lot of throttle time there. Not a lot of brake. It's a lot of roll there, and you got to use a lot of throttle.
Yeah, we ran South Boston earlier this year, and for us it was totally different since they repaved it. And my hat's off to those. That's one of the smoothest racetracks I've ever run before. And I mean, in a modified at that place was just unbelievable how much fun it was. That just very few racetracks we go to in modifieds, you can drive that hard. You got to take it easy. You got to try to manage your tires. You got to be smooth. And that place up there was just, I mean, the harder you drove, the more fun it was. And I'm hoping Dominion's going to be the same way. I love a fast racetrack because I'm used to running around a bull ring where you're on the brake just as much as you are the gas.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to going to Dominion. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, Dominion's got a little bit more grip than South Boston does. Dominion's fairly new, about 5 or 6 years old, and it's got a ton of grip.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're going to like Dominion. They have a Jumbotron. They got a stage there where they have live music and the whole works, man. They really.
I just want to know where Victory Lane is and what's the track record.
You don't care about none of those stuff.
I don't care about any of that other stuff. What's the track record? Where's Victory Lane?
That's awesome. Oh man, how hard is it juggling school and racing big time late model stock car racing?
It's not as bad, but people at school, the teachers, they definitely don't like it when I leave school. So they don't like it at all. And but you got to do what you got to do to go try and win and run competitive. So that's what we got to do.
Yeah. Now I was the hometown. What is it? Where's it at?
Amelia, Virginia. Yeah.
It said where I got the name. I guess off the press release from South Boston, said Amelia Court House.
Yeah.
Virginia. Is that the real name of it?
It's called Amelia County. But the courthouse, I live right close to it, about 5 minutes away.
That's easy if you get in trouble.
If you would know a lot about that.
Oh.
Where's that located at? What's it mean?
So it's about 25 minutes from Richmond International, probably about 30 minutes. And it's about an hour in between South Boston and about an hour and 30 minutes. And so I'm kind of in the middle of every racetrack in Virginia.
Nice. Oh, that's nice. That makes it convenient to be able to get to some of these racetracks. Will we ever see you come down south in the Carolinas to do a little racing?
I would like to, definitely. Hickory is a really cool racetrack. I've seen a lot about Hickory. It's got a lot of character, very old. I would really like to go down there sometime. But car count's kind of hurting them right now. They only get about 7, 8 cars. And, when Virginia tracks are getting up to 16 to 20 every week. So that's a lot of why we don't go to the Carolinas.
Yeah, that's you're at the point now where you got to make sure you get those car counts, because that's the same thing as Peyton doing. He's got to make sure that he makes the best of the races where he has the car count. And you're finding yourself in the same thing now. Did you have any inkling at the beginning of the year that you'd be in this situation, or how you feeling about it as the year went on? You thought, man, I do have a shot at this.
So we were going. Originally, we were going to go for the Virginia State Rookie of the Year. That was the main goal. And if we won the regional and the national, that was just going to be icing on the cake. But now it's kind of went up to where we want to win the nation. That's kind of what we want to do now. So, we've just got to be competitive everywhere we go. If we can get the top 5s, the top 3s, that's a big deal for the nation.
Yeah, and the week prior, Peyton had a huge lead. Now that lead's been cut into, when the points printed last week, He had just a 50 lap point lead when it was over 100 for a long time. So Jacob's closing in on him. So he knows he's got his work cut out on him, and you're closing in too, for that matter. So got a little bit of work to do, but Rookie of the Year in the nation is still very important. But yeah, it's kind of hard racing for the national title against the same guy at the same track. You got to beat him every time from now on. No big deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no big deal.
No pressure.
No
pressure. But he's got to be awful proud of you, or he wouldn't race you as hard as he did, because he felt like you could handle it, or he wouldn't have raced you that way.
Oh yeah, for sure. We were going tooth and nail there at South Boston those last 5 laps. Cautions were kind of hurting me, but we just kept on going to the top, and we could hold him off, keep the motor wound up. We could shoot off the top, and that's how we beat him. Yeah,
and he's used that top side a lot. So I was telling her, I said, Peyton knows that top side is a good place to be. That's not a bad place to be for sure. So he knew he'd have to race you pretty hard, and you guys put on a heck of a show, no doubt.
I appreciate it.
Be sure and share with us about your sponsors here. We got Jonathan coming up here in the green room. I see him there. Be sure and tell us about your sponsors.
I've got to thank Pembleton Forest Products. That's my dad's business. That's who I work for. They're the ones who do make everything happen. Kirk Ipock, I see him in here. Solid Rock Carriers, GXS Wraps, RPM Group. They do a lot for me. Easter Designs, they help me out a little bit. Williams Logan, Sailors Creek Construction, Ream, and that's about it.
That's about it. You hear it? Is that all?
That's all I got to say about that. Well, I haven't met you in person yet, but I look forward to seeing you in the very near future. Hopefully, we can get back up to South Boston, and we really want to try to get up to Dominion for the special race for my fallen friend of many, many years, Craig Murtaugh. That's a race that I really, really want to be there. Miss that guy greatly, and dedicate. Every time I walk into a speedway, I always think, man, he was one of the few that when you read his work, you felt like you were there. He was a gem. He was such a neat guy, and he loved those racetracks up there. And so yeah, I miss him greatly. But yeah, we really hope to be up there for that, and get to see folks up there and venture out to new racetracks. So hopefully we'll get to see you in Victor Lane in the very near future, my man.
I'm going to try my hardest to, that's for sure. We're just going to stick to the plan, go for some top 5s, top 3s. And, if we can get a couple more wins, maybe even one, it doesn't matter. A win's a win. So,
there you go.
If we can get it, it'd be pretty cool.
That's right.
That first one's the hardest one there is to get.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep. Now you proved yourself you can do it. Now you got that confidence. Well, next time you recognize when you're close to the front, you know what to do now. So,
oh, yeah, for sure.
And that'll never leave you. Once you win that first one, that when you figure out it's time to do whatever it is you need to do, that never goes away, does it?
No, never.
Well, that's awesome. It's been a pleasure chatting with you and getting you on here and getting to know more about you. So I know a lot of folks have been asking me, what's this kid all about? So just so delighted to have you on here and share your story with everyone. And keep up the good work, man. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Landon Pembleton, young racer, is doing a fantastic job, and he's racing with some stout competition.
Yes, he is. Kid got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, he does. He's seems very mature and mellow. I think to be successful in racing, you have to have a level head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
For these alpha drivers that always want to be beating their chests and making all kinds of noise. Sometimes I don't think they make the best decisions in the race car. Would you agree?
Well, the way we were actually talking about this at the shop today that when you win, you don't have to say anything. When you lose, well, I think Bert said it to me today. He said, when you lose, you say very little. When you win, you don't say nothing.
There you go. There you go.
Trophies speak for themselves.
Yeah. That's true. There you go. Well, yeah, let's get Jonathan in here. I don't know if he has his camera on. We're gonna have to walk him through. There he comes. All right, let's get Jonathan Schaefer in here. There, he's in a steering wheel. He's got a race car in the house.
Yep.
What
Can
is
you
with
hear me?
all these? Yeah, I got you.
All
What's
right. Nothing much.
up? So, were you racing, and then let me go talk to Uncle Buck? Then
Yeah, this is the iRacing sim. Just get on here and practice whenever I can.
now, does that help you just for stock car racing, or for midget racing, or what?
Mostly the stock car. I mean, they have dirt midgets and iRacing, but they're not really the most realistic. So I mainly just stick to the stock car stuff.
I got you. Well, I had to play this first for you.
Hey, how you doing?
Who are you?
I'm your Uncle Buck.
Do I have an uncle?
Thank you for doing that. That's funny.
And then
Uncle
share with
Buck.
Jason the backstory. Get to know Jonathan and his family. Covering the Cars Tour last year, and I just saw right away this young man's got some serious talent for as young as he was, and he got out of the car. He looked so tiny, and Bobby McCarty took a lot of interest. So that kind of told me, I'm seeing what I'm seeing because Bobby's taking interest, and Bobby says every time I teach him something, he moves forward with it. I don't have to tell him again, and that spoke very loudly for him. So he's getting to know his family real well. So they kind of adopted me. So he said, "Man, I like that. He's kind of like my Uncle Buck."
Yep.
And
Nice.
I wear it proudly.
Nice.
No doubt. Well, Jonathan had a pretty fun week. We've been keeping up with you, of course, racing with the Cars Tour series, and doing a fine job. Very solid. Has shown some tremendous speed everywhere he's gone. Qualified well at Hickory with the throwback. And I got to show everybody. If you haven't seen this, you got to see this. Let me show one of the pictures I had here. I think I had it in place yet. I'm gonna have to pull. I'm dragging forward here in a minute, but fantastic job on the dirt, man. How hard is it going from stock car racing to a big old heavy, wide car to a little bitty, short, nothing but horsepower, no wheelbase kind of car, even though it's going from asphalt to dirt, man. How hard is that?
I mean, it's a little different. After a couple laps, you kind of pick on to it. Especially with the limited amount of experience I have in the dirt car, it's definitely easier to go from the dirt back to the stock car. But it definitely takes a couple laps to get back used to the dirt car.
I got you. And with the man, them things, whether 4 cylinders or they're
4 cylinders, correct.
They have an ungodly amount of horsepower in them things. So it's got to be a rush flying around them corners, because the races that you raced during the week, one was where you was wide open all the way around, and another one very next night was just the itty bitty bull ring, smaller than Bowman Gray.
Yeah, we went to Grandview the first night, and that track was really long. It had sharp corners, but you were basically on the throttle the whole time in hot laps and qualifying. But the second night was action track, and that place was tiny, and you definitely had to lift and use throttle control, but you still had to be on it to get off the corner. Action track the second night was a pretty fun place, just a lot different than the first night.
And what do you have to do to prepare yourself? Because because you're going up against guys that been on the road racing these things for 40 days or longer, because it was the national tour that you jumped in. So those guys have got the feel, have got their machines down pat, from just being in the car for that long. Then here you come along, jump in there and right there with them. What do you do to prepare for that?
I really like in qualifying and practice, I'll make sure to follow maybe one of my teammates like Buddy or Dayson, people that are more experienced than me, picking off from them. My crew chief, Jarrett, he's really good, helps me out, tells me where to run, where the moisture's at. Basically just picking up and learning from my teammates is helping me a lot.
And does that cross over to late model racing about where we see you're usually one of the first ones to start searching around, finding a place that makes your car happy to run? Is that where that comes from, running on dirt?
I'd say so, because on the dirt, I mean, you're always searching for where the fastest line is, because one lap it may be quick on the bottom, 5 laps later it might be too dry and the moisture may be up top. So I'm used to searching around to find the grip. I really think that is a factor in the asphalt, especially sometimes get too much rubber, get tight, got to move around. But I definitely would say that comes from the dirt side.
Jason, how many different lines are there around Bowman Gray?
Almost one. We've almost got one groove.
Almost one groove.
But no, he's exactly right though. You know, with Bowman Gray, the track's got a lot of grip, and our tires that we run are really soft, so the track really rubbers up a lot. But 3/4 of the way through the race, if you're in that rubber, your car's sliding around all over the place. And you know, I feel like a big part of the reason my car was so good Saturday was off of turn 2. The car was turning so good under throttle that I could get down underneath that rubber, and I never spun a tire all night long. But if my car shoved the nose at all and I got up in that rubber off of 2, my car'd spin all the way down the straightaway. So it is about moving around and finding, you know, next week that line may not be there, you know, so it is about moving around and trying to find where the most grip's at and where the car drives the best. And it's just like anything else. You got to be comfortable in the race car. You can't run the whole race out of control with your tongue hanging out. With, you know, you have to be able to be comfortable in the race car. And I like this kid's style. You know, you got to move around and find where the grip's at. And that's to me, putting this guy in dirt car and putting him in a late model and letting him do all of this is only going to make that guy a better race car driver. You know, when you stick to one thing, you get used to that one thing, and it's hard to get out of what you're comfortable in. But if you can drive anything and get comfortable in anything, you're going to be a heck of a race car driver.
Yeah. He's really done a fantastic job and set on the pole at Dominion last year, and really had a shot to win it there towards the end, and qualified 3rd, I think it was, at Hickory this past weekend. He grew up in he lives in Ashland, Virginia, and
Ohio.
Did I say Virginia? I'm sorry, Ohio.
Sorry,
Thanks.
just wanted to correct you.
Yeah, how quick you corrected Uncle Buck. Jesus.
Uncle Buck needs to get it right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you know, for the old school racers, remember Tim Richmond? That's where he was from. You know, he right there in that area, and his dad has a tie to Tim Richmond. Helped his dad get started in trucks and ARCA and stuff like that. So this past weekend, that was his throwback. Here's the whole look at the whole thing. There you go, Jason.
I saw that. Yeah, I remember
That's
seeing
him.
that.
That's
So I
him.
love that race. I love seeing those guys do those cars up. That throwback race, man. That is a really cool deal.
And Jonathan went all out and had the.
Oh, I see it. Oh yeah.
Is that awesome or what?
That is all. I'm a fan. I'm a fan now.
That's awesome. You killed it, brother. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Was so
Thank
much
you.
fun, and good spirit there, playing through the whole nines there with the get up there. So had to been a lot of fun. Had a lot of attention there in the autograph session for the fans, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was pretty fun though. The only thing was the mustache was so hard to keep on because it was so hot. I was starting to sweat, and then every time I'd smile, it'd crinkle up on the end. So it was a pain keeping that on.
Oh, well, you should have dialed it up like old Raleigh fingers.
Yeah.
I've never heard a race car driver say, the hardest part about my weekend was trying to keep my mustache on.
I don't think you'll ever hear that.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Awesome. But back to the dirt racing, man. And did you race that before you jumped in a full body stock car, or they kind of go hand in hand where you live at in Ohio?
It was kind of around the same time because when I first got in a pro late model, I was 12, and that was about the same time I got into an outlaw cart, which is on dirt as well at Millbridge. So I'd say about the same time. But from 5 all the way up to 12, I've been on asphalt in the quarter midgets. But I've definitely ran majority asphalt my whole life.
Is the midgets fun, or is there a lot of work in there?
They're fun. I mean, you really got to be on it. It's not like the pavement, where you got to save, you got to wait, be patient, wait till the last 30, 20. It's 30 laps and you're giving all you got, and it's just a whole different type of racing compared to the asphalt.
Yeah, it's like I said a while ago, you drive 30 laps with your tongue hanging out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And, we don't get to race like that very often. At Bowman Gray, we run twin 25s, 2 25-lap races, and those are like that. You run 25 laps like you're qualifying, which is a lot of fun. But it is also fun to run a 200-lap race where you do have to take care of your car, you do have to take care of your tires, and it puts it all on the driver. Like I said, you can't just be able to, it's not just about driving. It's about knowing how to race and knowing how to take care of your stuff.
I asked Landon, who was with us a moment ago about saving tires on the longer races, graduating up. How about you now that you've got a second year with the Cars Tour? When it comes to managing the tires, are you still learning? Are you still adapting to that?
I'd say so. I mean, it's different compared to every track you go to. Say somewhere like Hickory, you definitely have to save more than somewhere like Dominion. Just the track's rougher, older. I mean, I still say I'm learning, but I definitely am a lot better at saving than last year.
There you go. But you still showed a lot of speed. You qualify. Of course, he's almost won the race. Sat on the pole at Dominion. What's your favorite track, Dominion? All right, now a year later, you race some other tracks and some other features. What about now? Where are some of the places that you really like going to?
I mean, Dominion's still there. We just didn't have the greatest race at Dominion. I've liked Hickory. I've always liked Hickory. I'd say Dominion and Hickory for sure.
Yeah, you looked really good at the Hickory this past couple of weeks ago. Where is the next car? And Motor Mile's coming up.
Motor Mile, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Your car owner and crew chief there, or your car owner, has a lot of input on your car. He's got a few laps around that place.
Yeah, so, he has a lot.
Lots of success there. Does that raise the expectation for you? Is that putting pressure on you to do well there?
I don't think any pressure. I just think that, Lee's had so many laps there. He has a lot of knowledge there. I feel like we'll definitely do good there. Just not much pressure. I think I have the confidence that we'll do good there.
Yeah, I think that track is going to favor you because it's one where you could really, a lot of guys, the last time we were there, were flat-footing it around most of the track. So it's a fast track. You carry a lot of momentum, and I think that's going to favor you real well, especially with Lee calling the shots and, from the shop to get you there to the track. So should be pretty doggone good off the trailer. So I'm hoping so anyway for you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And that'll be another track that you're going to for the first time. What are some of these other tracks you've gone to for the first time that threw you a curve or you adapted well? Tell me about some of these tracks that you're going to for the first time. How do you adapt to those?
Like Orange County, for example. We were having issues with different sets of tires when the whole bad tire situation was going on. We'd have one set on that we'd have, and we put another set of tires on it, and the car would be totally different. So we had to deal with that a little bit. Other than that, Orange County was hard to adapt to because 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 totally opposite corners. 3 and 4, you're more up higher, arcing it down. 1 and 2, you can either be low or high. It's just that was definitely the hardest track to get used to because of how different both corners were.
Yeah, it's a fast track too, so
that's a fun racetrack.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, it can be fun. You get a hold of it.
But like I was talking earlier, I love racetracks where both ends are completely different. And like you said, Orange County is one of those. One end you can run high or low. The other end you really got to sail it in there and let it hit that cushion up top, and you can throttle up and get a good run up off the corner. And, those are the tracks where you learn how to move around, just like he was talking earlier. You find where the grip's at. Because next week it may not be up there. You may have to move down a half a groove or try to run the bottom, or you got to feel around and see where it's at, what week it is.
Yeah, we drove around the track at the end of the night. I could not believe how bumpy it was.
Those aren't bumps. Those are valleys in the. I thought I was going to break my ankle in one of them one night.
Lord, so
I had to jump across the gap in the racetrack where the asphalt's coming apart. But I'm gonna tell you what, I had a blast at that place.
I was, I knew how it felt to us, just going slow, but up to speed, I just couldn't imagine what it feels like to you guys.
I mean, yeah, it definitely, when you're on the track, it definitely feels a lot shorter than what it looks like. I mean, before you know it, you're turning down into one. But it doesn't feel as big as it looks because of the speed.
Yeah. Does it feel rough in the car? Or are you up to speed, skimming over everything?
Not really. I mean, you can. Yeah, you can feel the bumps, but it's not too bad.
Okay. Maybe going slower it makes it worse. What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't feel them at all. No, I'm kidding. But no, I mean, really, like that's the difference, in late models. And I know setups are completely different, different from those guys than us with the modified because we don't travel that much. But places like that, a lot of times you don't feel the bumps in the modified. You're going over it so fast, and we're on a 15-inch wide tire, and we're not traveling but about an inch, maybe an inch and a half to start with. So you do basically just skim right over them, with our cars. I watch those late models and, they're really down on the front springs. They're keeping the nose pin in the racetrack and they hit those bumps. You can really tell it, especially when they run the back of the car so stiff and you can see the back of that car bouncing, going down the straightaway because the track's so rough. And we don't feel that near as much as those guys do. But it's fun to watch. You can see those guys hitting those bumps and jumping over them.
And you have to take it in consideration with the modified because you are so low. If the track is bumpy, you have to adjust the ride height, I guess. Do you have to take it in consideration?
Most of the time you do. And somewhere like that where you're carrying so much speed into the corner, that's where you really have to get the car up off the ground just a little bit. Because we got a 2-inch ride height rule, and a lot of times you got to get the back of the car is really where we're doing more traveling than the front. But it's because you got to run the back so much softer to get that drive up off the corner. But yeah, it's a lot different.
I like this. I would say I'd like to try that one day, but I will never fit in the modified.
We can get you in one, getting you out probably gonna be the problem.
The jaws of life just to get me in it. Could imagine getting me out of it. That's for sure. Well, Jonathan, tell me about your season so far. What's your assessment so far? Is there any place coming up? We talked about Motor Mile. That man, this is the place that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Motor Mile. I don't know. I know the Wake County race got postponed and rescheduled. If we do run that, I'm really curious on how that track is going to run because that place is so tiny. And if you're in the back on a restart, you're going to get caught up so quick. I'm just curious to how that will play out. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a fantastic race. I broadcast the races from the super late models from there. That used to be their top class for a long time. So I know you late model guys can get her done over there. And let's take a look at, let's see. I was going to take a look at the points here real quick. Late models. That's supers. I can't read. Where are we at? Down at 13th. We got to work on that, young man. But still, less than 100 from the leader. So it's not totally out of the grasp. Are you get to the point where you don't worry about points? You just want to get that race win and work on just making laps.
After the first two races at Dillon and Hickory, that was when we both had the bad set of tires and we were completely off the pace in the race. Once those two races happened, we pretty much knew that we were out of the points. But now our mindset is just getting on wins and finishing top 5, top 3. But I definitely say really not worried about the points anymore.
Yeah. Are you having fun racing?
Yeah, I'm having fun. Yeah. As long as I'm in the car, I'm happy.
There you go. Whether it's a midget or late model, right?
Correct, yeah.
Now, talk about having a teammate with Brandon Pierce. We had him on the program not too long ago. We always like seeing him do well, and of course for Lee Pulliam. How much have you leaning on him? And how about Bobby? You still communicating with Bobby? And is he helping him out? And talk about the relationship with your teammate.
Yeah, Brandon's a really good teammate. It's more of like we lean on both of each other. Sometimes I'll go over there and ask him questions. Sometimes he'll come over here and ask me questions. It's basically whenever we need each other. Like, I think it was at Dillon, I was more on the apron than Brandon. And, we were trying some different things, just learning off each other. It's nice to have him there. He's obviously, he's gone with Lee last year. He knows how the car works. And it's just nice to lean on him for information.
There you go. Had an opportunity to hang out with you and the family. Friday night, we went down to get signed in because I had to work Saturday. So we tried to do whatever we could to save time for Saturday when I got off work, and had a fantastic time. They fed me well. You could tell that's important. Wherever I go.
That's always important.
They fed me well. Man, we had a good time hanging out with them, didn't we? We had such a wonderful time just sitting around talking, camping. I thought, man, that is the way to do it. That would be so much fun. Big screen TV with dirt racing out there. I could eat me some that homemade potato salad, and
Hey, you know I hadn't had dinner yet, right?
I told you I'd feed you. You said no.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
was
feed the
going to.
boys.
I was going to, and we were late unloading, and then my radiator's busted. How do you win a race and have a busted radiator? I hadn't figured that out yet either. You start on the pole and lead every lap and come home with a busted radiator. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, I hadn't had dinner, so easy on all that good food talk.
Man, we should have ordered. Oh well,
I'll be all right. I got to go to work in a few hours anyway. Hell, I'll eat tomorrow. It'll be all right.
Yeah, he's a hard.
I don't have to be there till 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'll be all right. I'll get a few hours sleep before I get
a
there.
nap. Yeah,
it'll be all right.
And plus, you know, he works at a race shop, which we'll finish the show with that here in a little bit. Now, Jonathan, away from the track, you know, a lot of folks will say, you know, because they don't get a chance to talk to you, you know, just hanging out at the track because you go back to Ohio. You know, now it's almost school, time, so I know that's coming up. But what does Jonathan Schaefer like to do away from the track?
A lot of fishing. I love fishing. You know, sometimes basketball, but mostly fishing.
There you go. I saw a picture. You caught a nice one not too long ago.
Yeah, there's a pond right down the road. Our neighbors have a house on it, and they let us come there and fish. Mostly fish for bass, but I mean, I love fishing and racing.
Yeah, that's when I took my exile away from racing. That's what I did. I got into bass tournament fishing. I had a ball. Wasn't all that good, but I loved it.
It's fun, even if you don't catch anything.
Bad day on the water is better than a good day at work.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Only if they paid the same. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for checking in with us and taking some time off of your cartoon racing there. Were you winning before you had to stop and come hang out with us?
Oh yeah, right now they're at in iRacing. The super late models are at Stafford Motor Speedway, so we're racing there right now. So
now, do you run the same colors as your late model, or do you have something totally different?
Yeah, right now I'm running my throwback paint scheme. So
oh, cool.
Yeah,
yep. You should have put the hair on and the mustache.
I know I should have.
It might stay on at your inside.
Yeah, it might stay on inside.
Yeah, it won't peel off or sweat off.
Well, Jonathan, I can't wait to see you at Motor Mile. We'll try to get up there for sure. I think you guys will really like that place. It is a beautiful facility, good, clean facility, lots of great amenities, nice, clean bathrooms. Redhead told me to tell y'all.
Hey, that means a lot.
Yeah,
it does mean a lot.
Yeah. And I think
I'm
they got
serious.
a pretty nice camping area. So yeah, it should be a nice place for you guys to visit, and really hope you do well, man. Looking forward to you getting your race on down there, and excited to see what you got for them at Motor Mile. That's coming up, what, the 28th? Yeah, the 28th, August 28th.
Well,
any
you.
racing, any racing the dirt or anything else between now and then?
The 18th and 19th we have racing the midget at the BC 39, which is the track inside Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So we have that 2-day show next, and then Motor Mile, the Cars Tour after that.
Nice. In BC, Brian Clausen.
Yes, correct.
He was a big, really good midget racer, and did real well, and got up into the Busch Series at one time, whatever they call it at that point, and made his way back to open wheel racing, and then unfortunately passed away, during a race, in a race crash, and they have that special race for him. He was a good guy. I got to meet him when we did the show. NOS was our sponsor. Then he was involved with NOS, so they brought him when they raced at Hickory. They brought him down to our show, and then he and his dad Tim invited us up to hang out with him at the racetrack. So that was really cool. He was really, really classy guy. Another racing hero gone way too early. So yeah, he is sorely missed, and it's an awesome event that they have, and that race will max out with racers. Everybody wants to be a part of that for sure. So that's awesome. I was wondering if he's going to be a part of that. So that's really cool to learn, and I'll be watching.
Well, thank you,
because I know it'll be on Flow or something like that. So we'll be watching for sure.
Well, thank you.
Same car, same team.
Yep, same car with Keith Coons. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the track that's inside the the big speedway? Is it, a big dirt track, or is it flat, or is it banked?
I mean, it's definitely on the smaller side. I think it's a little banked towards the top where the cushion's at, but other than that, it's pretty flat.
Okay. Have you raced there before?
Have not. No, they did it 2 years ago, and then I haven't raced there. So.
Gotcha. Well, you did real good. Didn't get the A main victory, but you qualified very well against guys that's been doing this all summer long. So chin up, hold your head up high, because you performed very well, and you won the B main one of the nights. And man, we were so excited for you. We were so proud of you.
Thank you.
You little turd. Yeah, still slated to do the Chili Bowl, right?
Yes, sir. So far, yes.
Oh, that's exciting. We're looking forward to watching you do that. That's exciting. That's even a casual fan knows about the Chili Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
All right, partner. We'll let you run. Be sure and thank all your sponsors and the folks that help you get to the track each and every week.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Kirk and Lynette with Solid Rock. Couldn't thank them enough. Without them, we couldn't be running this year. Everyone with Toyota, TRD, everyone with TD2, and High Class on the late model side.
Well, good enough, young man. Get back on your cartoon races. Whoop them up pretty good.
All right, thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon, buddy.
All right, thank you for having me.
You got it, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jonathan Schaefer, my little buddy. He is a big talent. I'm telling you. He is sharp. He's pretty doggone good in everything he sets in. You talk about having all these jobs. One of these jobs is a pretty hot topic here lately. I think we got some questions for you, mister.
I don't know how many of them I can answer. I'm more on the assembling the new cars. A lot of guys buy turnkey cars, and I'm more on that side of the shop than I am the.
Well, that's where all the problems are coming from.
Easy now. Easy.
And of course, you work at Hedgecock.
Yeah, work at Hedgecock Racing. I work for Jay. I've been knowing Jay my whole life. Jay used to race modifieds,
right?
Back in the day when I first started driving modifieds, Jay was.
I remember when he raced.
Was still racing. I think the last race that Jay ran in a modified, I'm pretty sure I won that race.
Cool. I remember when Jay was pretty good in a modified.
Jay was awesome in a modified. I tell you what, Jay Hedgecock is sharp. He is a very, 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 very talented, very smart man.
Got a good product out there, but the talk of the town a couple years ago, it was front end spindles. Before that, it's motors. Now the attention's turned to this front end situation on the interpretation of the rule and things like that. What has Jay said about that on the assembly and things like that? Has he gone back with the assemblers like yourself and said, all right, here's what the rule says. Here's how we build our cars. Has he done anything like that?
Not per se with me so much. Like I said, when they build the chassis and send them off to get a powder coated, they send them to me on the other side of the shop. I hang the bodies, I do the brake lines, I put the suspension on, if the guy brings his motor up, we get the motor in, we get rear ends built. I do all the rear ends and stuff over there. And, I try not to get on the technical side of it too much just because I don't have to play stupid if I am stupid. You know what I mean? But I did hear a lot about it. And, racing's one of those things where it's all about the gray area.
Yeah.
You fudge the rules and you do what you can to get by the rules and get by with what you can without, you've got to have an advantage for somewhere, and the way I look at it, the guys that run Hedgecock chassis, I don't care what chassis you put them in, they're going to win races. You put Josh Berry in any other chassis on the market, he's going to win races. You put Lee Pulliam in any other car on the market, he's going to win races. And to me, if I was a chassis builder and somebody was building chassis that were winning and I found out something they were doing and they weren't supposed to be, I'd make my chassis do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's my Bowman Gray mentality. If I know somebody's doing something they shouldn't, I'm not going to rat them out. I'm going to do it too. Like that's racing, man. You know what I mean? We're grown-ups. We're not tattletales. If you're doing something that you're not supposed to and the officials aren't catching it, it's my job to do it too.
Right.
It's my job to play the game because it's a game. Like racing is
Oh,
a serious
absolutely.
sport, but it's just like every other sport out there. It's a game. When you have a winner, it's a game.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, is trying to find enough advantage to be the winner every week. And, and please don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anybody else's chassis. I don't know that much about late model. I don't even know who else builds late model chassis, but I know Jay's cars are good. And I know, like you said, with the spindles, those spindles are not the reason a guy's winning races.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I remember the spindles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there. I was at Jay's when the spindles were coming through, and those things were pretty awesome. But were they an advantage? Did the guy that had them not win races and put these magic spindles on and all of a sudden start winning races? Absolutely not.
Right.
These guys were already winning races. That the cream's going to rise to the top every single time. I mean, you look at Bowman Gray Stadium. We random draw 27 cars for a 100-lap race, but the same guys keep winning races every single weekend. There's a reason for that. It's not. If whatever you're doing is working, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Not one thing is going to make a difference. Just like years ago when everybody was talking about traction control, these guys got traction control. You can't take a race car that runs 10th every week, put traction control on it, and magically start winning races.
Right. Like,
it doesn't work like that. There's a whole list of stuff that has to fall in order for you to win races. It's not just one thing. So, it's the racing world, man. You know what I mean? If everybody had the same cars with the same motors, with the same engine builder and the same spindles and the same this and that, how much fun would it be?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. There's a certain point where if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah.
But there's, for the late model stocks, the spirit of the rule was written when they went away from late model sportsman to late model stock. Late model stock is supposed to be a square from the center to outside. Supposed to be square. Supposed to be built square, correct?
Yep.
So anything outside of that goes against the spirit of late model stock. Because it has a gray area, don't mean you have to build it there, then make it legal. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. Well, I don't know, but yeah, I'm just throwing this stuff out.
Let me ask you this: say a man's got a late model and it's completely square, and he gets in a wreck one week and it knocks the rear clip over a half an inch. And he doesn't know it. And the next week he shows up at the racetrack. Is like, man, my car's awesome this week. After the race, if his rear clip's off a half an inch, is he illegal? Does he get thrown out? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, just like in these cup races, when aerodynamics is so much and a guy gets a dent in his car and it helps him out during the race and then he wins. It's kind of one of those. I mean, I get it. I know.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be on the same page, and everybody, they're trying to make it as fair as possible. And I totally get that. I'm not knocking anybody for anything they do. But to me, if you're going that far and you're doing stuff like that, it just shows how much you care and how bad you want to win.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at it. I agree with that. I agree with both sides of the fence. We had the Brasiers on and had the guy from Greenville Pickens, and I had a great conversation. And I see both sides, because one thing that I see is that, and I've been trying to find the guy that's supposed to be in charge of the rules, for NASCAR. I know he don't exist.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. He don't exist. So, somebody has to, help the tracks be on the common ground. Because if everybody's running different type of rules, then that's not good either.
Yeah, it can't be a run what you brung. You know what I mean? Not
you might have one run super late model.
You might have one racetrack that might let it by and let it do. But when you've got a series like a late model stock car that you're supposed to be able to go to any track you want to and race, and all the rules should be the same. Like, I totally get it. Yeah. I totally get everybody should be on the same page. But it is what it is, and you're always going to have the same problem. You're never going to have a situation where a guy just quits trying and says, okay, well, I got the same thing he's got, I'm good.
Yeah.
You're never going to have that. You're always going to have somebody looking for an advantage.
Yeah. And that's the circle of racing.
I mean, you think Jimmy Johnson just literally outdrove everybody 5 years in a row to win 5 championships? Right. No, they found an advantage. Yeah. Like, that's why we race.
Yeah.
That's why we don't play basketball, Like,
yeah. That's true. I mean, because covering this type of stuff, I want all angles of it. I'm trying to get the NASCAR side of it. I want more manufacturers. Marcus, I'll let everybody know now, Marcus Richmond said he will come on here next week. Couldn't make it, wasn't able to, get our schedules together for this week, but he says he will join me next week. And I'm looking forward to that, and they can, preach the rules to me till they're blue in the face. I don't really understand the measurements and where you measure from. I know where the front end is. I'm good there. So
I know where the carburetor
right.
is.
So, just as giving them a platform, that's all I want to do. I just, old school. There's areas you can play with. There's areas you can't play with. Building it to be offset, I think, is taken away from the spirit of the rule.
Yeah, I do too.
That's the way it is.
I do too.
Don't know.
Absolutely. Well, just like hanging bodies. You're not supposed to offset the body when you hang them either.
Right.
But if they allow you an inch, you're an idiot if you don't go that inch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're not trying. If you don't go to the maximum on everything, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where, especially like with late models, you don't want to get in a situation where you go to one track and it's legal, and then you go to the next track and they're like, you can't run that.
Yeah. And see, that's what you're going to have. And then, I brought the point where, sure, you can have all these unbelievable micromanaged rules. How many qualified officials do we have that can understand that?
Absolutely. I mean,
that's the hard part.
And I'm not knocking any officials by any means,
right.
But I even raced a NASCAR touring series, and I can tell you now, a lot of times the officials are so used to seeing this is what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
If it looks different, whether it's wrong or right, if it looks any different, they're like, oh, whoa, you can't do that. I'm not used to seeing that. That doesn't look like everybody else's. Well, within the rules, it's still right. But by looking at it, it's not what you're used to.
Right.
And officials, a lot of times officials are just like we are. They work full-time jobs and they go to the racetrack on the weekend, and they're doing it to have fun because that's what they love.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they don't know the difference, or
sometimes it comes to their interpretation.
Absolutely.
Of said rules.
They might read the rule and see it this way and interpret it like that, and somebody else might do totally different. And I mean, you're always going to have that. You're never going to get out of that because this sport is so competitive and it's so close that when a half a tenth of a second's a difference from first to 15th, you need every little bit you can get. And that's one thing, with those late models where it is so hard for those guys. And I get it, where, you look at qualifying in the top 20 cars and there's a tenth and a half second from first to 15th.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Hell, I was a tenth off the pole the other night and was sixth. Another tenth was 15th. It's ours are a little more spread out than those are. And, it just makes it tougher, but you know what? It makes you a better racer, and it makes you learn how to do it. Cause if you ever want to make it to the Cup Series, you're going to fight the same demons.
Yeah.
So you might as well go ahead and get used to it now and figure out a way to do it and figure out a way to race and try to be the best you can and stay within the rules, but fudge the gray areas as much as possible.
Yeah, there's a couple folks checking in here. Roy Martin, checking in. Hey, Roy, we're thinking about you, buddy. We hope the situation with with your doctors and all that are going well, and hope things are getting better for you. Glad that you chose to listen to us, to take your mind off of things for a little bit. Hopefully we're not aggravating you because we're talking about officials.
don't get upset, country. I'm not singling you out, buddy.
That's right. We love you, country.
He's a good guy right there.
He's
a good guy.
Yeah, we love him greatly, and thinking about him as well as Ray. Saw an update on Ray Knight's fund that was started. It was almost to capacity, so kudos to everybody that gave and gave what you could. So thank everybody for doing that. So Ray Knight, saw him a little active on Facebook, so hopefully that means things are going better for him, because he was in a very serious accident, got a long way to go. So it's good to see that he's been active on Facebook and things like that. And then there's a message here. Let me squint my eyes a little bit. Hayden Nixon says something about, are you going to the afternoon championship?
Read the top one. I think he had a typo. he must have fat thumbs like me. In a lot of words, he asked if I was going after the championship this year at Bowman Gray, and
yeah. Absolutely, you got to keep going forward.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're there for. I mean we're there to win races, and when it comes down to the last race, if you're in the hunt for the championship, you prepare yourself and you race for the championship. And I moved into third this week in the points, but I'm still like 40 behind. And when you're 40 behind Tim Brown or Burt Myers, that's one thing. But when you're 40 behind both of them, I'm going to have two cars, two of the best, to have bad luck the last race of the year. And I'm not even setting my sights on that at this point. I'm gonna go out this weekend. We got twin 50s. I'm gonna try to win both races, and then the next week I'm gonna try to win the finale.
Yeah, and because it's double points the last night, so it can be done. It's just a little bit of work.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure. I mean, just we got 3 races left. I mean, I'm just planning on winning all 3 of them. It's not that big a
Christian
deal.
Thorpe, he's been here with us, hanging out. He goes over there, helps some teams, and I seen him doing some videos. Somebody must have threw a rugby ball out there. I seen a scrum going on. I think he had a video of. Let's see. What do you think about the 12 and the 19 deal?
Yeah, I'm not going to touch you. You can talk about that all you want to, but I'm not going to touch on that subject.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to get into stuff like that here.
Yeah, that's not my business. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like everybody still wants to keep the the Burt Myers and Tim Brown friction going all the time. Is it me, or am I the only one that thinks, man, it's been played out? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let these guys race
and
interview them with respect.
Yeah.
I mean, you even fell upon yourself to strike out at a reporter, and rightfully so, because where were they when you won that first race? A couple of weeks later, they want to ask you about something way out in left field that didn't have anything to do with the win.
Yeah.
So if you didn't want to talk to you then, they don't come talk to you about the other.
Yeah. And
basically, right?
Absolutely. And there are 2 sides to every race. You do have the winner, and then you do have the guys that crashed each other or had the drama going on, and that's fine. But when you just talk about the drama and you don't talk about the winner, then that's where you're looking at it from the wrong perspective.
Right.
You have to focus on all of it, because all of it is what makes it work, not one thing.
Yeah.
It takes the winner and recognizing the winner and the guys that run good and the guys that had a good night. And it also takes the guys that had the drama and the beating and the banging, but like I said, when you just focus on one or the other is when I think you're kind of just stirring it up.
Yeah.
We don't race for drama. No. The drama comes with it, but that's not what we race for.
Yeah. And the older you get, the more you have to pay for that, the easier that is ready to settle right.
Yeah, absolutely. And they had a little scuffle in the pits, Saturday night.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about that.
Right.
We can say, they had some drama on the track. They had a little scuffle in the pits. That's over with. The video was out. People saw it. People had their own opinion. People see the same thing inside 2 different ways, but there's no need to keep focusing on it.
Right.
Let's go on to the next race. And let's go back to racing, because that's what we're doing. We're racing. We're not wrestling. We're not fighting. Yeah. It's not a gun show. It's a race, and we're there to race, and we're trying to win.
Focus on that. What happened? You missed the opportunity to really focus in on 2 young ladies that really setting the racing world on fire by them winning on the same night at Bowman Gray. That's pretty important.
How many other tracks can say that?
Exactly. And both of them against the most stout, competition.
Absolutely. Both ladies have a lot of talent, and they're in good equipment. It's like I said, equipment means a whole lot. But if you take one of those girls, if they can't communicate to whoever's setting that car up to tell them what the car's doing, they're not going to win races.
Yep.
And and Taylor, she's a heck of a little driver, and so is Amber Lynn. And my hat's off to both of them. This sport's not just for guys.
That's
you know what I mean? Like it's not a. It's dominated by men because that's more men choose to do it, but it doesn't mean that girls can't do it. Obviously, we had 2 winners at Bowman Gray Stadium Saturday night.
Yeah,
that were
then
females.
throw in a modified racer flag to flag at Bowman Gray, racing, all those restarts and against your brother, door to door, if there was a door.
Nerf bar to Nerf bar.
Man, I guess that is more of a mod term. You got to learn me again. That's what the story is. I mean, that's where the story is, not the nonsense that goes on.
To me, I mean,
infield.
you're exactly right. I mean, you had me and Bert side by side on the front row for every restart all night long. You had Tim Brown right behind him, trying to close the gap up, trying to get to second and trying to beat Bert. You got both of those guys racing their hearts out for a championship because they're already counting points because they're running first and second.
Right.
And they're kind of like, well, we're good right here at second and third, but I really need to get by. I think it might have helped me a little bit Saturday night that Bert was just as worried about outrunning Tim as he was about trying to beat me.
Right.
Bert, a lot of times to where if I would have been second Saturday night, it's kind of like with me and Lee Jeffries. If I don't beat him off the outside and get the lead and I fall back to third or fourth, I don't care. I didn't come to finish second.
Right.
Finishing second and finishing fourth to me is the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm there to win. To where Bert Saturday night is looking at it as, well, darn, if I can't beat Jason, I still need to finish in front of Tim. And Tim's looking at that too. Tim's running third behind Bert, and I know Tim Brown. He's not thinking, I need to pass both these guys and win this race. He's thinking, I need to finish in front of Bert because he knows that's who he's racing with for the championship.
Yeah, and both of them sitting at 10. And, both of them, not only do they want to beat each other, they want to race each other well, and they both want to be that first one to 11.
Absolutely. And I mean, you don't win 10 championships by not being good at what you do.
That's right.
And that's why those guys are so hard to beat because they're counting points from the very first race of the year.
Yeah. Every single point. You got that right.
Every single point.
So past Bowman Gray. Now, I put the number up, folks. If you got a comment or want to call in the show, now's the time to do it. 812-472-2322. I got it on the bottom left corner of the picture there. Give us a call. 812-4-RACE22. That's our number. How about that?
Oh. Hey, you probably change it to race 4 if I keep winning.
Yeah, I would. You come host the show.
I'm teasing.
And speaking of that, it still floors me that there's not a real, true live weekly show in support of you guys.
It's almost like I feel like with Bowman Gray, it's almost like advertising. Why do it if you don't have to?
Right.
Yeah.
Like Bowman Gray fuels itself. It's great to have a show, especially for people like me that get to win and get to actually go somewhere and talk about it and be a part of it. But Bowman Gray itself, they don't need that. So they're not going to put any effort to making sure that happens because the fans are going to be there every week and the place is going to be packed and the car count's going to be outrageous every week where they don't need to do that. Yeah. But to me, from my side, I wish there was, there should be, just like this. Like, I love the fact that you talk about, like, the best part of the show so far for me was hearing you go down the rundown of the tracks at the very beginning, telling who all won races this weekend. That's cool to me, man, But yeah, Bowman Gray could fuel on a show just by itself. But like I said, then you get into talking about the winner for 5 minutes and talking about who crashed who for the next hour.
Well, if it's done correctly, that's the point. That's the key. If it's done correctly, then it would be done respectfully and stay on topic, if you will. If something happens, yes, I guess it needs to be addressed. But it's kind of like I guess from being old school, either do it or stop talking.
Yeah. And to me,
there's too much. Me.
Well, to me, if you spin a guy out to win a race, that's one thing.
Right.
If you wreck a guy for 10th or for 12th, or run over somebody just because you said on Facebook you were going to, that's when it gets to, we're just going to stop talking about you.
Yeah.
We're just going to leave you alone.
And if you notice in the last 10 years, maybe even in baseball, if somebody rushes the field, they'll pan away and not talk about it or anything.
Exactly. This isn't hockey. You don't focus on the fights.
Right.
You know what I mean? You talk about it, you mention it, you say it happened, you move on.
Right.
Because the guy that wins the race is the guy that deserves to have the interview afterwards.
Right.
Not the throw a microphone in a guy's face and, hey, why'd you wreck that guy for 10th? Nobody cares.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, of course some do. I'm not saying no, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, we don't race for attention. We don't race to fight. We don't race to crash. We race to win. And the winner should get all the acknowledgement at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Not the guy that started the most drama.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, take a look at Jonathan Brown took the fans challenge or whatever it's called, and came really close to doing it. that's a hot topic.
Absolutely.
That needs to
Absolutely.
be talked about.
It does.
And,
It does.
so-
And if people like me and Jonathan stop taking that challenge, they're going to stop doing it.
Right.
There's only a handful of us that even try it anymore because, like I said, I'm not knocking them because it's their style. But Bert and Tim won't take that challenge because they don't care about the money. They care about the points.
Right.
And they look at, well, if I take that challenge, yeah, I might win the money, but it might hurt me in the points. I might get in a crash, or I might, have some bad luck to where, we can't not have that challenge. That's what the fans like, and, it's part of the show.
Absolutely. And to me, it makes it exciting because, I know he's a good enough driver and has good enough equipment. He's going to pass people.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's what's exciting is you put a car back there, whether it's the draw or not, that is a good car. When you get those nasty draws, I'm watching you.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
you're going to pass people.
Absolutely.
I love the 100 lappers. You got the choose cone or whatever they call it.
Yep.
I mean, you ain't skirt.
No, I love that outside. But I mean, that's racing, it's just like everything else. I mean, it'd be like, you go to the racetrack one weekend and after qualifying, Lee Pulliam's on the pole and you say, hey, Lee, you're starting 21st tonight. You got a 150 lap race. Have at it. People are going to love to see Lee come through the field and try to win the race.
Yeah.
People love when you stick the fast cars in the back. Gray Garrison knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Now, all that formula started before Gray? Has that been the formula since
the
early days?
No,
Is
the
that something
early
that Gray
the
come
early
up with?
days, they called it the MadHouse Scramble.
Mhm.
It was the twin 25s, run the first race straight up, and then draw 8, 10, 12, 14, or 16 to invert for the second one.
Okay.
Gray's the one that came in and started doing the 100-lap redraw the whole field.
Wow.
Gray's the one that came in and said, we're going to start doing double file restarts with the cone where you choose your own lane. Like Gray's the one that put all of that stuff into play.
Gotcha.
And Gray didn't make racing great at Bowman Gray Stadium. Gray kept it going and kept it great.
Mm-hmm. And that keeps the fans.
It does.
They know it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely.
I think it's really exciting to see, middle pack. Everybody's, well, I'm just going to cruise. Everybody stays to the left. You're back there in 12th. Well, to the right. You up there in the first 2 or 3 lanes now.
Yeah. And, when they first started doing that cone, there was only a handful of guys that would try it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I could start 15th or 16th to be in the top 5 in just a couple of cautions. And now it's almost like everybody, you choose the shortest line, and the reason for that, a perfect example, I watched it in the sportsman race, that last 100 lapper they had. The first 3 cars stayed in line in the inside. So the 4th place guy actually got to start second. They ran a half a lap and had a caution. Well, guess what? He's second now because you freeze the field. You don't go back to the lap before.
Right.
So when they throw that green and there's a wreck, if you're second on the track, you just passed 2 cars and you didn't even do anything.
Right.
So it's almost worth it to, even though the outside's not the place to be, sometimes it works out for your advantage. And like I said, every advantage you can get is what makes the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, if you get a comment, you want to call and say hey to Jason or a comment for the show, give us a call, 812-472-2322. So yeah, give us a call. Let's hear somebody haggle Jason here. I want to see how you handle a heckler.
Come at me, bro.
When we was watching the coverage there, and it was such a sweet moment when you looked in the crowd. And I think just where you saw your daughter, and then when you mentioned, hey, this one's for you, that little girl right there.
Oh yeah,
you got emotional.
I did, man.
Still, show a lot of emotions when you win. You
do,
can win 30-some race, and every one of them is like the first one, and every one of them means something.
It does, especially that one, because me and Herb had a rough road for the last little while. And she's 17. She just graduated high school. She's actually leaving for Alabama to go to college Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was, I can't tell you what it meant to look up in the stands and see her there Saturday night. And, I knew she was there. I knew she was coming. Because it's the last race she's going to get to watch before she goes to school for a while. But just to look up there and see her and make eye contact with her in victory lane and just know she's there. And yeah, it definitely made my whole heart flutter.
Yeah, that was sweet. That was such a sweet moment. One of my very best friends that I grew up with, Tony Sullivan, retired from law enforcement last year, the year before. Last year, I think it was. He's got two daughters. Did both of them go to Alabama? I know at least one of them did, graduated. So yeah, that's
I know. I got a road trip this week.
That's a big time school.
Yeah. I'm gonna ride down with her mom, and which we may have to take two vehicles to take all her stuff. But yeah, we're gonna take her down Wednesday, and my mom might even ride with us. So yeah, we're gonna take her down
there you go.
Wednesday,
There's your supervisor.
Yeah, definitely.
she'll keep everybody straight, know where everything goes.
Yeah, and I hate it for my other daughter Sadie because she kind of gets pushed to the side, because Emma's going to college, so it's like, sorry Sadie, we still love you, baby, but Emma's getting ready to leave, so we're kind of getting what we can with her. I've got three amazing children, so I'm very blessed. The Lord's been good to me.
They grow up quick. I remember when they were little, running around the pits all dirty.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I remember when I was running around the pits
I was going to
dirty.
say, you and Bert, same thing.
I remember sitting up in the stands on those aluminum bleachers playing with Matchbox cars when I was a kid.
Yeah, we when Daniel was 3 or 4, we'd go up there and watch when I'd have an off weekend from late models, what have you, and he would have a 2x2, 20 rows deep, and it was so funny. I mean, it was be shoulder to shoulder, people packed. But they wouldn't mess with that little boy.
That's right.
I didn't have to say no to anybody or, come on, son, let's move the cars over so people can sit down. Everybody left him alone because they know, hey, that's going to be one of your racers in the near future.
Well, and like I said, that's one of the coolest things to me was when I won and I see my daughter sitting up there in the stands. She's sitting in the exact same spot I sat when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's
how many
cool.
people can say that? I'm 42 years old. And I can remember my dad I was born in 1978. And my dad started racing at Bowman Gray in 1980. I've literally been over there since I was 2 years old. And I think I've missed 3 Saturday nights my whole life.
Wow.
But to see my daughter sitting in the same seat that I sat in and knowing there's thousands of other people there who are sitting in the same seat their parents sat in, that their grandparents sat in.
You'll see generations there. That's what I tell people. All the time. You'll see generations there.
That kind of stuff right there is what really impresses me about what we do, and that I'm thankful and that I'm blessed to be able to do what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's getting up on the top of the hour. We won't run over because I know you got to go get you some rest before you go to work tonight.
I told you I don't have to be there till 3, Doc. I'll be all right.
That means you slept all day?
No.
See, you go and go and go. I'm
sleep.
Too old
what
for
the hell?
that.
What is sleep?
If I don't have a good meal every 30 minutes, I'm about to fall out.
If I get 4 hours of sleep, I'm pleased.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually somewhere around 3, maybe 3.5. Just because I've got so much to do. You know what I mean? I work part-time at UPS, and then I work for Jay Hedgecock in the afternoon, and I've kind of let Jay down a little bit here lately. I hadn't quite been over here as much as I need to be just because I've had my hands full with my car. Yeah. And, I've got 2 cars. Well, I've got 3. I've got one I race on the Smart Tour, and then I've got my stadium car, and then I've got another car that I rent to Chris Williams, who is the director of the Smart Tour.
Right.
So it all kind of is just a big circle. And Chris, Chris just likes to have a little fun. You know what I mean? He's hadn't raced much his whole life. He wanted to race. I rented him a car, but I have to keep that car up too.
Right.
So I have 2 cars all week I got to keep up, plus try to get to Jay's, plus work at UPS. And, like this week, I'm going to try to figure out how to get my car done tomorrow because I won't be back till Friday from Alabama. But it's you got to love what you do. You know what I mean? And I do love it. I wouldn't change a thing.
You can't get no help from your brother?
It's
funny. You are a mess.
It's funny, I try not to ask. I really do.
Yeah.
And he's the same way with me. I'd rather do it without asking, but if I ask him, he'd help me in a second.
Absolutely.
Same way with me. He knows that no matter where we're at or what kind of week we had or what's going on, if he needs it, he's got it. And if I need it, he's going to give it to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just one of those deals where racing's a family sport and we're family, So, we love what we do.
You got your family that you go to the track with, and when you get to the track, that's family too, isn't it?
Absolutely. People that, you think about it. People like Lee Jeffries and Tim Brown. I've known those guys since I was a little kid.
Mhm.
I mean, literally, you know what I mean? And with Robert Jeffries, he passed away a while back. Robert Jeffries knew me when I was 2 years old, with my mom and dad carrying me around those pits on their shoulder or on their arm, like the Johnny Johnsons and the people like that, I literally grew up with those people every Saturday night, all summer long for my whole life. They are family.
Yep. Absolutely.
Might not see them at Thanksgiving, but they're family.
That's right. That's right. All right. Hit your sponsor, just like in Victory Lane.
It won't take me near as long as it took us young kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm fortunate enough. I don't really have many sponsors. I'm fortunate enough that I've got a couple of family friends that really do help me out a lot. Mark Moorfield, Jason Tutterow, actually with Carolina Drilling.
Yeah.
And they do it because they love me. You know what I mean? They don't do it because they want to advertise. They don't do it because they're trying to, they do it because they know I need help and they really care about me and they know I care about them too. And Mark Joyce, MJ Graphics, does my t-shirts and stuff. And Mark's been real good to me. Peace Out Vapes came on this year. They also sponsor Amber Lynn. So he had a pretty good night the other night.
Yeah.
Let's see, I got AutoZone. I'm trying to get them to really come on board next year. They helped me out a little bit this year. I'm kind of just trying to jerk that hook in there and get it sunk in. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, that's,
and weekends like this past really help.
Absolutely. I mean, but when you see a car win a race and there's no sponsors on the side of it, it either makes you, it kind of makes you wonder, if this guy did have some sponsors, what could he do?
Right.
Because it does make a difference. It changes the way you drive a car when
right.
If I tear this car up, number one, I've got to fix it. And number two, I've got to call around and try to find some money to help me pay for it because I don't have the money myself.
Yeah.
I rent a car to Chris Williams so that I can afford my tire bill every week and I can afford to go racing. And it's a lot of work for me, but I do what I have to do to be able to go racing. And, I've been fortunate. I have, Kurt with the Carriers. He helped me a couple years ago. Been trying to get him back on board at the modifieds. I've been trying to get him at the stadium.
Oh, we'll work on that.
Solid Rock needs to be on a modified at Bowman Gray Stadium, and I can help Kirk. I can help him out a lot, and we can have some fun.
Yeah.
But I know he's got a lot going on with everything with late.
I'll get redheaded. He loves redhead, so I'll get redheaded.
Oh yeah. Bring him over there. But yeah, he helped me a couple years ago, and when I really he has no idea how much he helped me a couple years ago when he helped me. No, nice. And it's people like that really, really, really make a difference.
Yeah, he and his wife are just some fantastic people. We really look up to them and think the world of them for sure.
Absolutely.
Got a couple of things here on the chat. See what's going on. I figure I might be Kurtson. Oh yeah, I'll be there.
I'll get him up on that balcony and get him a good view for the race.
Absolutely. Let's see. Matt Nichols checking. Hey, Matt. He's up in Franklin County area. So I know he was there when you guys were there. Man, you guys put on a good show.
I love that racetrack.
That's where I grew up my teenage years.
My dad won a hobby championship or used to race hobby cars up there at one back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, hobby cars. Yeah. When I ran street stock, that's what my dad used to call it. He's like, that's not a street stock, it's a hobby car.
That's
the hobby
division.
School,
yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate y'all. Appreciate you listening in.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Because if y'all don't listen, we don't get to do this anymore.
That's right. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and your victory tour to come out and hang out with me. I knew it would be stellar, and you delivered.
I appreciate it. It worked out good. You did it on Monday because actually my UPS schedule was Tuesday through Saturday, so I didn't have to work this morning. I was off, but I have to get up at 2:30 Saturday morning, go work from 3 to 9, and then go to the racetrack.
Then go race. Yeah.
So I'm a half a day behind when I get there already on Saturday. But I do what I have to do, and I love what I do, and I wouldn't change it. She flirting with me.
She might be. She loves
My
racers.
Goodness.
She would drop me in a second.
Or that, or she's been drinking. Maybe both.
Might be a little bit of both. Now, if Michael Rich came through there and said, look, I just came here for you, and we're going to run away, you would go in a minute. That's a man right there, Michael Rich. That's a man. Oh, there you go. Hey, I got game.
Get a room.
I got game. I think that's what that means. She said the other day I was smelling gamey. Is that what that means?
Maybe. Yeah.
Real quick, before we run off of here, go out and support your local short tracks. Coming up next week on Friday, Anderson Motor Speedway, their top division limited late model. Kingsport back with the late models. Hopefully they'll have tires. Bowman Gray Stadium, as he said, twin 50 lappers. Demolition Derby again, back to back. That's kind of odd, isn't it?
Well, we had a short season.
Well,
so.
true, yeah.
And they have two because they have two different size cars. They got the small cars and the big cars. And the one for the small cars got rained out a few weeks ago,
That's
so
right.
they're sliding it in this weekend.
So
No. Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't nothing left of those.
yeah, I was gonna say that'd be kind of hard there, redhead. They're coming. The demolitions are running twins. Oh, Steve DeWalt watching. Hey, buddy. He's a good supporter of Race22 Radio. Twin 50s for the modifieds. A little bit different strategy, than the 100, then from the twin 25s. So, yeah, it's throws another curve in there for you guys. Dillon Motor Speedway, the Black's Tire 200. So they'll be having racing there. Dominion will have late model stocks back racing at Dominion. Goodyear All-American Speedway, the Carolina Mini Stock Challenge, 500 to win, 50 laps for the mini stocks. Langley Speedway will be back with their twin races for the late model stocks. Motor Mile will have twin 60s. And I saw Kenny Wallace will be racing in a car prepared by Derek Lancaster. Very good redhead. She is on. And Mike Looney's going to be there racing. That's right. He did confirm with me he'll be there. Orange County Speedway, Billy Purnell Memorial coming up in late model stocks will be racing. And they got the kids' bike races. So bring your kids out to Orange County Speedway. It'll be a lot of fun there. Some of the tours coming up. The Carolina Pro late models will be at Orange County the 28th. The Southeast Super Trucks just raced. I'm not sure where they're next at. I've got to update that. Cars Tour, the 28th at Motor Mile. Late models and supers this time. Last time it was just late models. So late models and supers, the 28th of August. And Michael Rich will probably be there. So I'll play second fiddle that weekend. And the Smart Modified Tour, this has been on my list for a long time. The 28th, so that's right around the corner. Won't be long to Dillon Motor Speedway. That ought to be a great show. So,
that is going to be a fantastic show. Those people at Dillon are going to definitely get their money's worth for that.
Absolutely. He might.
I love that name. I don't know what it meant until he told me.
Yeah, it's so great. What's it mean? I don't know. Oh, we got to let him go. All right, folks, thank y'all for hanging out with us. We appreciate that so much. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to test the waters a little bit on a show dedicated to the Carolina Pro late models and their crate modified. So 7 o'clock tomorrow, check that out. We're going to have lots of fun and get into detail about their season and about what they got going on. So bring a blanket. So I got Josh Louder's going to come out with me, and we're going to connect with Kevin Orlando and a whole lot more. So we'll be working on that race as soon as we hang up on this one. So appreciate everybody checking us out. God bless y'all. We'll see you next time.
Hello?
Folks, get out there and support your grassroots local short track racing. And be sure to search up House Call with Doc Love on all your favorite podcast platforms. That's House Call with Doc Love. So smash that prescription button so you'll be notified when each episode is uploaded. Until then, we'll see you at the races.
I am telling you, I must be away.